There isn't that type of hotel in Birmingham, and I think that's why there's been this great response to it, because it's bloody about time that we did.
Hello and welcome back to Breaking Breads. This is the podcast all about the amazing food in Birmingham and the incredible people who bring that food and drink to you. All the people in the city doing special things in the hospitality industry. We're here to share their stories with you. Presented by food obsessed mates Liam and Carl. I'm your co-host Liam. Really great to be with you here today. Unfortunately, you might know we do these intros usually together. Unfortunately, my good friend Carl has had to isolate due to obviously the corona. He's doing a lot better now. He come out of isolation today as we record this on the Saturday before this episode comes out, but it's a little bit tight for time to try and get this all edited and out, so we didn't have time to get an intro together because of the isolation. Absolutely good for Carl that he come down with corona. Obviously not nice for anyone. Luckily he's doing fine, he's doing okay now and he's past the worst of it. Obviously plenty of people in the same boat at the minute, and we feel for you all, and obviously all the restaurants who are struggling with it at the minute. Just hopefully this ends soon. I mean, it's hard not to mention it every single episode, but what can you do? We're trying. So luckily it hasn't affected any of recordings or anything. We've managed to plough on. We've got a great recording coming this week with a really exciting guest. Coincidentally, that will be our last episode for a little while. We're going to have probably August off to kind of have holidays and recharge the batteries. I'm hoping to get to Ireland and see my dad and family for the first time in a couple of years due to this whole nightmare pandemic, but I'm really looking forward to that. So we've got this episode today with Adam Bateman, and then we've got one more episode, and then we're going to have August off. So don't worry, we're not going away or anything. We're just taking a little month of August off to kind of recharge and get a few things done, and then we'll be back in September with some more awesome episodes. We've got some more great guests lined up from all over the city. Eating out, normally me and Carl have a good chat about eating out, and in fairness, Carl eats out a bit more than I do. I just want to talk about these waffles that I had this morning. Unbelievable. Chance's Cafe in Sturchley, Viva Sturchley, unbelievable, honestly. Might be because they're fresh in my mind, but I can't stop raving about these chicken and waffles. I mean, that's right on my street anyway, the whole sweet and savoury thing. Chance's Cafe, actually absolutely smashing it. I feel like I've just been brunching. Went to Backyard Cafe over in King Swinford a few weeks ago. We were over that side of town, so I thought I'd nip in, see what all the fuss was about. The hype is real. That Mackyard, like their take on the McMuffin, unbelievable. That's absolutely smash, and their cakes, yeah. So if you're ever over that side of town, you definitely got to go into Backyard Cafe. Really, really good spot. So on to today's episode. We were really excited about this one. We were invited a few weeks ago over to the new Grand Hotel to have a little look around, and we went to Isaac's, which is the New York style kind of restaurant at the bottom of the Grand Hotel. Really, really cool place, man. Interior is wicked. Service is just unique, I would say. Really good place. The food was amazing. One of the best steaks I've had in a long time, and just a great experience. So today's episode is with the executive chef for the Grand Hotel, Chef Adam Bateman. Really well-known chef, done lots of stuff around the Midlands, won some awards and stuff, been going for years. Stuck to it's an interesting one because a lot of the chefs we've interviewed have been restaurant orientated or gone down the traditional route, whereas Adam's more of a hotelier. He's mainly worked around hotels, which is an absolutely just different level of chefing, man. It's tough. It's an absolute tough game, but Adam loves it, and he really shines through. He's a great character, and we have really fun conversation. There's lots of laughing, and yeah, really enjoyed it. And just the Grand Hotel, we can't stop raving about it. It really is just somewhere special. It feels like we have something special now in Birmingham, a special hotel that we can all kind of be proud of. That Madeline's just looks like the kind of place you just want to take friends that visit the city. So yeah, really loved doing this episode. Really loved everything about the Grand Hotel and hearing all about it, and I'm glad we could share kind of behind the scenes with you the kind of workings and the mindset that goes into putting this restaurant together at the heart of the hotel. I really hope you enjoy listening to it because we love making it. As always, if you do love listening to it, if you could like and subscribe, really helps the algorithm on Apple. Really does help. We want to tell as many people as possible about how good Birmingham is. We really believe it's one of the best places around, and we need your help to spread that news and these stories far and wide. So all you have to do is like, subscribe, rate, do all that jazz. You know the score, like Apple and Spotify. Let's spread the Birmingham positivity. Let's spread it, man. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Adam Bateman. Adam Bateman, welcome on Breaking Bread. Really good to have you on the show, mate.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. A pleasure to be on here and have a chat with you guys. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Well, we've already had the pleasure of trying your food as well, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, so you've done both, I think, Madeline's afternoon tea, is that right?
No, I haven't done the afternoon tea yet. No, I
just a
couldn't
few
make that.
snacks in the bar.
Just came to the Isaac's night.
Right, okay.
The opening of that, and that was, mate, it's phenomenal.
It's good. Yeah, it's been a long, hard slog to get to that point. I mean, everyone's had lockdowns and experienced the difficulties over this year, right? But the amount of stop-starting we've done on this project alone, and Isaac's as a restaurant and as a concept has been pretty difficult to sort of work our way through. So going back to sort of October, November last year when we was going to originally open the hotel, which was already late then, we'd planned to open both for the bar and the restaurant at the same time. And because I think back then the restrictions were sort of only substantial eating and such restrictions around food and time, I think we just took the decision back then to close one, which was Isaac's, and just open Madeline's.
Yeah.
So fast forward that to this year, and when we reopened the hotel, we suddenly realised that we did no work on Isaac's as a concept or menus or suppliers or anything. And someone says, well, we're open in 3 months. And you're like, shit, what's on the menu, chef? And you're like, well, I don't know. I thought you guys were doing that. So, yeah, just all the momentum just goes, and it's nearly finished, to be fair. We're open now and we're trading really well, and we've had amazing feedback and from you guys and everybody else that's been really lucky to try it. But there's still a little bit more to come, which is really interesting and really cool to say that it's not quite there.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like, the likes of what Glyn and Akhtar and those guys are doing. Clearly not. But still, to think that we can push the restaurant a little bit further with the decor and the welcome and the host stand and bits and bobs is quite exciting to see that people are still really enjoying it. but yeah, there's still a little bit more to come. So
Do chefs ever think they're there though?
no,
'Cause we've never spoke to anyone that's just like, yeah, no, it's perfect now. I ain't got to do nothing else.
no,
That's
no,
very
definitely
true,
not.
that
No, I think that's what sort of pushes us on, right? We know that little tweak or that little change. There's still a bit more to come. I had this conversation with someone the other day. I was watching. I'll tell you what it was. I was watching the Formula One.
Yeah.
And you know when they drivers, I don't know if you guys watch it, but the drivers, they interview them at the end and they go, "How was that?" The guy stuck it on pole. He's like smacked someone out of the ground and whatever, and he's like, "Yeah, a little mistake here and a little bit there. There's a little bit more to come." And you're like, "Well, you're on pole position. What are you on about?" And
Yeah.
it's the same, I think, with chefs. No matter what it is, what level you're cooking at, lots of different levels. But in your little zone, I think you want to try and do the best you can, or you want to try and tweak it a little bit more, or you want to change it. We just done some dessert tasting downstairs tonight for banqueting menu, and even already we're like, "Oh, should we tweak that? Oh, what about cherries? Oh, no, they're in season." You're like, just keep pushing. Definitely.
Oh, nice. So what sort of led you into being a chef then? We're going back a bit now, aren't we?
Yeah. It's about 94, 95, showing my age. I was working on the markets in a place called Tamworth, not too far from this neck of the woods. And I don't know, nothing was really going to happen for me. So my mum worked at the Belfry, and she said, "I've got you an apprenticeship at the Belfry." I'm like, "What's one of them?" "I've got you an apprenticeship. You can do a year around the hotel and then choose where you want it to work." I was like, "Well, I don't really want to do that. I'm quite happy earning 60 quid a week on the market," which was a lot of money back then for like a 17-year-old kid. Sorry, 14-year-old kid. And I had dreams of being a fireman, like London's burning and running into buildings, damsel in distress. I'll save you and all that. I think my mum knew that probably wasn't me. So she's like got me involved in this apprenticeship scheme at the Belfry. And I thought, well, I'll just doss around in the leisure club. How could it be working in a leisure club? It's got to be easy. So I ended up sort of choosing that first, and they stuck me on reception. Oh, it's awful, fucking awful. I'm clearly not made to be a receptionist. You have to give people towels and pretend you like them and stuff like that. And couldn't get on with that. And I went into housekeeping. That lasted about a week before the executive housekeeper found me sort of sat on the bed watching MTV. So they kicked me out of there. And then I ended up in food and beverage, and I worked in the restaurant, and I really enjoyed that. There was a couple of guys that I really got on with, a lot older than me, 18, 19, 20s, and they took me under their wing a bit. We used to go out for a few beers after work and to the nightclub and stuff like that. And as a 16-year-old kid, that was kind of a big deal back then for me. So I started to get that love of food and beverage and the hustle and bustle of service. It was the service. I remember, those busy Friday and Saturday night restaurants being in the shit. I mean, it was a carvery, guys. It wasn't technically difficult, but that backwards and forwards and stuff like that. So that's that first taste of food and beverage. And then I went into kitchens, and I didn't have a clue of what to do, how to speak to people. Just gobby kid from Tamworth, Birmingham. Bit of attitude and a chip on the shoulder, quickly got wiped off.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's a big old burly banqueting chefs in there slapping you around. And just working in that kitchen, I got a sense of purpose. I remember one of the waitresses came and asked me, "Excuse me, chef," and I sort of ignored her. She's a chef, and realised she was talking to me. No one had ever said "excuse me" to me. It was like, "Oi, you," and that type of stuff. And I sort of turned around and said, "Oh, can you show me where the butter is?" And I knew where the butter was in the fridge. I was like, "Oh, yes, I can. Come with me. Let me show you." And I got a real sense of empowerment. And from then on, I've been in kitchens really and worked my way through from 96, I think it was, back in the day in the Belfry in Bankton, yeah.
So the kitchens were quite rough back then.
Yeah, I've told some stories before, but yes, old school, wasn't it? Definitely don't condone it now, and it definitely doesn't happen as much now. But back in the day, it was part and parcel of working in kitchens. It was institutionalised, but there was a lot of physical abuse. I suffered a lot of racial abuse, which I've talked about and stuff before. But that moulded me and made me. I don't see it as a negative.
Yeah.
I think now it's a very much different perception, but back then I can understand why people would feel that that's tough or hard or shouldn't have happened, but it did. I can't change that.
Would you say that kitchens had a way of straightening people out in a sort of sense, like the army would do, for example, back then?
Yeah, that's a really good point actually you make. Other people have spoke about it as well, that, you know, a certain type of character and a certain type of person ends up or used to end up in the army, a bit lost, a bit strayed, a bit mischief, a bit into trouble. And I guess I was a bit like that. If I look back, I guess I was a bit like that. And, you know, suddenly being in that strict and strong environment, I found it tough, but I also responded to it quite well. Yeah. And I didn't run away or shy away from it. Actually, I think it drew me further in, and up until, you know, 10 years ago maybe, the kitchens were like that, weren't they? They were hard places, and people that did well or survived tend to enjoy it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think, yeah, definitely.
Do you think if it'd been like a modern kitchen, how they run today, because they're very different places today, do you think you'd have stuck with it?
Oh, bloody hell, that's a really good question. I don't know. No, I don't think I would have. No. I don't think, you know, we've opened a Grand here, and we've had, you know, a couple of characters, a couple of guys and girls leave. You know, I've had 19-year-old chefs text me saying, "Oh, I won't be back. I'm sorry to let you down. I've lost my passion." And you're like, "Well, how can you lose your passion for something at 19 years of age?"
Yeah,
you know?
that's when you got the most passion.
Yeah, the guy's not 40 or 60 and has been doing it for 20, 30 years and suddenly gone, "Do you know what? I'm going to put my feet up and retire." And it's not even a hard environment. We don't run a hard kitchen. We're only open 5 days a week, except days off. You know, the guys work straight shifts, long hours, but it's a start-up, and they know it's a start-up. It's not like they're walking into a set restaurant like Actars or Adams across the road, you know, that's been going, that's got procedures and steady. This is new. We're finding our feet. 55-hour weeks, I think that's quite reasonable over 5 days, with 2 days off, one of them being a Sunday. To say it's hard and it's difficult and they've lost the passion, it surprises me. And if, going back to the question, if that was like for me back then, maybe I wouldn't. Maybe it's too easy now to walk away, you know, or it seemed as an easier option, or maybe the television thing has made it seem that it's all glamorous and it's all, you know, fun. And actually, in some kitchens and in some environments, it is still quite hard, and you do need a bit of grit and resilience to keep going. Yeah.
I think it's like a patience thing. Like TV makes it seem like Gordon started in the kitchen, and then like after like 2 or 3 years, TV cameras found him and then stuck him in the. Nobody's seen like the years and years and years he was getting shouted at by Marco Pierre White, and you know. So now the youngsters coming into the kitchen now think, I've only got to graft hard for like a year, and then I'm going to be on the TV, or I'm going to be on Great British Menu, and I think it's detriment a little bit to the industry.
Yeah, definitely. I think it glamorises it, doesn't it? And you know, those guys now, 19 and less, probably saw those early episodes of Gordon Hell's Kitchen, you know, 2, 3, 4 years ago, and probably thought, it's all fun, it's all game, he just shouts at you, it's all TV, it's all set up. And the reality is, some places are like that, but a lot of them aren't, right? A lot of them are hard graft, and you do have to put the hard yards in to start with, you know, and you are a commis chef for a year, 2 years, before you can sort of step up. We've interviewed people here, and in previous roles in my life, you know, you've got guys that are walking in with 4 years experience, demanding 30, 40k jobs as sous chefs.
Yeah.
You know, loads of places in London and around the country. When I was interviewing for exec chefs and head chefs jobs, you just look at their CV, and in a million years you go, "Why are you applying for this job? I don't even know why you think you're good enough." Yeah, I think they look at the money or look at how easy they think it is.
Well, they just see them on telly and presume there's money there because they're on telly. Yeah. They don't remember that they will realise that these people, even on Great British Menu, they're probably still not on that much, really.
No. To be fair, though, those guys that sort of appear on that are...
Well, they're exceptional. They're the
cream of the crop, right?
Yeah, and they're probably still not on what these people are seeing them on telly and just thinking, well, on telly, they must be earning an absolute
millions.
fortune.
I'm going to sign up for that. I want my millions, yeah. Unfortunately, none of us are. Otherwise, someone missed me off the list.
I'm not sure people go into chefing for the money. Like, it's not the fame and the money.
No.
Is it? Like, you gotta have passion for food. Like, it's gotta be your life, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. There's lots of jobs like that, right? And hospitality is definitely an industry you don't go into if you're not connected to it or passionate about it. This is not a job or a role to collect a paycheck at the end of the month. There's probably easier ways to earn more money than being a waiter or a waitress or a chef or a pot wash or a bank-tin assistant on £9.60 or whatever it is an hour. Go work in Boots, no disrespect to Boots or anything like that, or retail, but who wants to come and do 15 hours and get paid for 8 of them, because that's hospitality, when you can go and do your 8 hours in one of those and walk out at the end of it, take your little apron off and go and do something else. So yeah.
Was it always hotels you were in, or did you go to any like normal restaurants? Or?
No, I've predominantly been around hotels all my career, so I would class myself as a hotelier now, and a hotel type chef. I dabbled in a few restaurants. I've worked in a few restaurants in hotels, but mostly been in and around hotels.
Is there a big difference in the chefs in both? Like, would hotel chefs be a little bit more tougher, or?
Wow, that's a good question. Yes, there is a lot of differences between the two sectors, and then you can add in high street and retail to that as well. Those types of chefs are a different breed within our industry. I think hotel chefs tend to be a little bit more adaptable just because of the nature of their business. So, for example, my team that run Isaac's downstairs, whilst they run a restaurant, whilst we're trying to position that as an external restaurant and separate to the hotel, it just happens to be in a hotel. I can walk down from the morning meeting and go, I need 5 fruit bowls for the rooms. And those guys have to adapt pretty quickly. There's a room service menu that comes out of that kitchen for obvious reasons. They've got to do a bit of staff lunch at the moment as well while we figure things out. So I think they're a little bit more adaptable because of the nature that they're in. Whereas restaurant teams tend to be a little bit more rigid in their structure because they can be. It's lunch service, it's dinner service. I pretty know how much covers I'm going to do. The likelihood of someone coming in and asking me for something that's either not on the menu or not in our remit is few and far between. I think that's why you tend to get a better experience food-wise, perhaps in a restaurant than you would in a hotel. Again, because of that. Again, typically, if I go back sort of 10 years, hotels tend to have really good restaurants, but the 4 or 5 chefs that operate that hotel restaurant are also doing everything else. It's hard to maintain that consistency. And the really good places that I've worked have always had their restaurants separate. You only have to look at, Marcus Ware and or someone like that at the Barclay, who's got they have a separate restaurant, a separate team, and everything's excluded from the hotel. There might be a little bit of crossover, but everything's done to separate the restaurant from the hotel for that very reason.
Maybe they can focus on like just prepping for lunch or prepping for dinner, whereas in the hotel you've got to kind of go after everything. I mean,
there's so much more that goes on in a hotel that's got to come from somewhere, and it tends to come from that big kitchen or that main kitchen or where the best chefs are situated, and that usually ends up being the restaurant, right? So those guys have got to cover a multitude of things, and therefore it's harder for them to concentrate just on, like you're saying, on the mise en place on the restaurant on that evening, yeah.
Is that why you've done it here? Like, did you have an influence on that? Did you say, I think we should do it separately as Isaac's? Or?
No, so, well, yes and no. Mainstream hotels, the last 6 to 10 years have realised, especially bigger hotels like the Grand here, some of the other projects that I worked on, Kimpton London, Principal Manchester, if I go back 8 years, when I sort of 6 years, 8 years, when we first jumped on that project, we realised that unless there was a named chef at a hotel or a specific restaurant concept at a hotel, the restaurant food was pretty boring or pretty average. And the only people that ever ate there were in-house guests. It was kind of, so we were giving people a restaurant because we needed to feed them, and they were only eating there because they had already pre-booked. You'd never get any real externals, and you would never get anyone externally coming in. So it was this self-contained, poor restaurant that was sort of feeding its own ego, you know, that 2 rosette country house type hotel. It was all right, but it's not great. But you'd rather go out, but you can't because you're in the middle of nowhere. Do you know what I mean?
Was it hard to make changes in somewhere like that? Because obviously you would be like, come on, this isn't that great. And then whoever's above you would be pushing down and saying, well, we're busy.
Yeah,
you know, we're obviously successful.
Yeah, definitely, you know? Definitely. We had that conversation a lot. So no owner of a hotel or business would ever really consider a soul-themed concept like Isaac's, an American theme, or like we did in Manchester, the Refuge, because you suddenly have a very scripted offer, and those type of hotels just want to draw people in and try and, you know, give them everything. There's afternoon tea, there's a la carte, there's a restaurant, there's a bar menu, and it goes on and on and on. And actually all they end up doing is just diluting their offer, and everything's just a bit weak. But so it takes a bold set of people to come and go, actually, do you know what? No, let's put a cool concept in. Let's go and have a look around the city. This is sort of kind of going back to Birmingham. What's no one doing? What's really bold? What's going to stand out in the dining scene in Birmingham that no one else is doing? Well, what about American? Well, yeah, but it's the Grand, it's 5-star, or we want it to be 5-star. There's an expectation that comes with that. You know, if we're charging £500 for a suite, Mr. and Mrs. Jones are going to want to come down in their evening attire, looking nice and smart, and have a drink in Madeline's, and want to go down and have a really nice experience. Are they going to want to sit in Isaac's? Probably not. But actually, what do we do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday when the hotel's not full and there's lots of people out on the square? They're not going to want to come to that type of restaurant. So he's taking those bold jumps and those bold decisions and doing something like Isaac's. And hotels over the last 5 years, 6 years, a bit longer, have suddenly realised to have a great offering, actually you do really need to do something different. You only have to look at here, right? We can go get anything that we want. Any type of cuisine, Michelin star, pizza. You guys know more than me about the city, you know what I mean? You don't need me, so people want more than just the norm.
Well, that's it. From where we are now, you could throw a stone in one way and hit one Michelin star restaurant, throw a stone the other way and you'd hit another one. And then there's everything else you can imagine just right out the front of the door.
Yeah. So I praise those guys for taking that bold decision. And for me as a hotelier, to have that option here and to try and do something a bit different, I think is really exciting for me, for the Grand and for the city. To have something a bit different, you know, yeah.
Was it a style of cuisine you were used to cooking? Or
No.
did you have to sort of learn this?
No, not at all. So, I've been really fortunate in my career to work for some amazing chefs and cook all the way up to sort of 1-star, 2-star level. And that type of food, Michelin star food, and really good fine dining style food, if you like, which is a term that I don't like to use, but it does, you know, say what it says on the tin. And then I stepped out of that and got a group role for the last couple of years and helped develop concepts for an open of the restaurants for lots of different styles, Libertine, American, like tapas style, a Grand Brasserie down in London. To suddenly come back and having to do this myself, and then having to do something like an American was a real challenge for me, exciting challenge. But you know, there's been plenty of sleepless nights thinking about it. But one of the things I wanted to do was do it for first and foremost. I wanted to do the Grand. I've been involved in the project for 6 years. So coming back to the city was really exciting. I think the last time I worked physically in the city was at the Copthorne, which was not great, but there you go. Maybe before that was the Burlington, so even then not that great. So I was excited to come back to the city and do and open the project, but also to get back on the stove. I was conscious that if I was going to do it, I wanted to be front and centre. I didn't want to be the guy, the consultant chef, or the guy that just comes in and sort of dabbles on it, because if it's not great, you guys know, Birmingham people will suss that out pretty damn quickly.
It won't be around very long.
No, because it was so small, right? There's so much choice. So if you're not up there, they'll be gone, man. So I was like, do you know what? Let's do it.
So you're pretty hands-on now in this role?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, maybe too much. I'd like a break or a day off would be really cool.
How have you found it coming back to being on the cook line?
I've really enjoyed it. It's been a challenge. Yeah, I've really liked getting, back in there with the team, recruiting the right team and the right guys. That was a challenge in itself. Working with the people sort of 2-3 years ago post lockdown. I would have been the guy who would have been challenging the menus and asking whether it's the right suppliers, it's the right price, the menu's going in the right direction. And all of a sudden, the tables were almost reversed. I was the chef writing the menu, and I was the chef putting the concept together, and people were challenging that. I was used to having those conversations from the other side of the table, so that in itself was a challenge. And then, lining up, doing those tastings again. I was not going to lie, super nervous. For the first time I was cooking and people were cooking my food and my menus, and having people sort of criticise it. That's a tough challenge for any chef to go through, never mind not being in the kitchen, physically being in the kitchen over the last sort of 3-4 years.
Was there any part of you that was a bit worried you might have lost it a little bit?
No. Never. Never. Maybe a little bit. No. I don't. The food that we do is definitely not technically challenging. There's obviously lots of things that can go wrong, but I was confident in my ability and stuck to what, fundamentally the basics, right? Yeah. That was it. Try and make it hot, try and season it well, try and use good ingredients and good suppliers, which I think that I've got on board, and let their produce do the talking. And other than that, that's it for this restaurant.
There was no trips to New York to try and get the vibe for it.
I tried, but COVID got in the way. Yeah. The first class ticket to New York, all expenses paid, is on pause at the moment. The boss won't sign that one off.
Is there anything about Isaac's that's sort of tailored towards Birmingham and the people?
I wouldn't say sort of tailored towards, but all our suppliers and all of the ingredients that we use are English and from reputable and great suppliers that a lot of people in Birmingham will probably know. The one that sticks out is Aubrey Allen. Coventry based.
It seems like everyone uses him.
Yeah, he's such a great produce. Why wouldn't you use that? I think then it's the people that serve it is what makes Birmingham, not whether the beef comes from or the pigeon from Pigeon Park is used in the pigeon ragu. But maybe not. But it's the soul. The Birmingham piece for us is the soul, not necessarily what looks like and what's on the plate, but the soul. Who served you? Why have they served you? Do you feel cool and relaxed in there when the music's on? That for me is the Birmingham bit. And then on top of that, then is the style of eating and the way that you eat is the American piece. So think that raw bar, for example, just 6 of you, because we operate under social distancing and the recent guidelines. 6 of you around a table. It's all about the main course, right? It's all about the entree. But actually, what we're going to have while we wait for the entree or that 32-ounce steak, let's just get some great oysters. Let's get some great beers, and we'll just chat, catch up. We'll nibble on the old oysters, and I know the steak's going to take 20-30 minutes, but when it comes out, wow, what a great piece of meat. That's the American piece for me.
It's very affordable as well, like the prices. People have asked me. People have said at work, Dave, when I get to work and I tell people where I've eaten, and or how much was it? It's always the first question. How much for a steak, especially steak? How much for a steak? I tell them, it's like 24, 26 pound. Oh, that's good. That's very reasonable. You know, your Miller and Carter's probably like 26 pound. Was that something you were conscious of when you were doing the menu? Like, it had to be affordable.
Yeah. Again, it goes back to that piece about, you know, Isaac's as a whole. It would have been really easy to, I said it in a recent article, it would have been really easy for us to go to a Gordon Ramsay, a Marcus Waring, you know, someone big in London, and come up to Birmingham. Come and put your name above the door. We'll give you, 60 grand fee for doing it. We'll give you a percentage of the profits. The only 5-star in Birmingham, and we'll go for a Michelin star and see where we go. I think most people in Birmingham would have come once and gone, great, thanks very much. It's gone. You know, why is people like Glyn and Akhtar and Simpsons, why are they successful and why are they still here? Is because they resonate with people in Birmingham. You know, our Brummies have been around this area a long time. Again, that was part of the reason why I wanted to come and do it, because I thought it needed a Brummie chef to come and do this. So I think not doing that and then doing something else, we need to make it accessible. So we did the menu, the American menu, again, is really accessible and different, but then also the pricing is making people come and go, we can go there 2-3 times a year, and have a great experience. Easy. And when we do things like brunch in the next couple of months and all those other things that we want to get to, you feel like, it's good and it's good value for money and it's not rip-off, and I'm not going in to pay the Grand prices because it's the Grand. I'm just going in to pay good prices for good food.
That's it, man. The first thing I said when I looked at the menu, I went, man, this place is affordable. I was expecting it to be like crazy prices.
Yeah.
And I was like, I could bring my mum here. She'd eat here.
Yeah.
My mum and dad don't spend a lot of money when they go out for food. But I was like, even they'd eat here.
Yeah.
So they'd happily, and the food's accessible. So like, I don't see how there's anyone that could look at that menu and not find something that looks great for them to eat.
Yeah. I think it would have been really easy to put, £1, £2, £3 on everything because we're the Grand. Some of that, I think, is driven around service. When you go to those places in London and you have a really nice meal, you expect that style of service, and you're almost prepared to pay a little bit for that style of service, right? I want it to be a lavish experience, and I want to be indulged, and people to call me sir, and escort me to the toilets and all that kind of stuff. But again, Isaac's isn't like that. It's relaxed and it's chilled. So then, if someone comes and slides down to you and says, hey, what are you going to have? Have you tried the Brooklyn beer? It's great beer, man. Grab a couple of beers, grab a couple of pints. Do you want a few oysters with that? And that really chilled, relaxed service. You don't want to pay over the odds for that.
No.
So again, that pricing is done to try and bring that alive.
That's exactly what our service was like the other night, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was really good. He was so good. When they really good.
George.
Yeah, so good.
Chatty, wanted to know what you were up to. Wanted to look so different to what you get at normal restaurants. I'm a bit of a fanboy about this restaurant because I haven't stopped talking about it to everyone that I listen. I'll already be planning the next time we can come back and just like
going back to that style and the people in the from the people serving and the people in the restaurant and the whole atmosphere being like Birmingham, but then the food being American. Something with New York, I've said it for years, I think New York and Birmingham are very similar people-wise. I think they're quite straight to the point. They can be quite tough, but they're really warm as well. There's a real warmth to them. Like if you're lost in New York, not Kevin McAllister style. We went to New York and we were looking for Shake Shack.
Yeah.
Couldn't find it. And like the amount of people that stop, you guys okay?
Yeah.
And then like give you great directions.
Yeah.
And I think Birmingham's a bit like that. If you bug somebody on the street, then they might tell you to fuck off.
Yeah.
But if you genuinely need help, most people, I think, down in Pigeon Park would help you.
Yeah, 100%. So when we were doing the menu, I sort of pitched it to the boss that New York was founded as an immigrant city. How many people and cultures, you've seen that image of some boat arriving, the Statue of Liberty, etc., etc. And it ends up being a melting pot of cultures and food and philosophy and ideas. And that's why, how many cool music scenes have came out of New York? How many cool food scenes have come out of New York? And I agree to some extent about Birmingham. Birmingham is the very same. How many cultures are in Birmingham? Someone said to me, it's the youngest but most densest different cultures or populations of people are in Birmingham. I thought, what over London? And I'm like, yeah, I'm over London. And you go out and you go, oh yeah, you can see it. Would you go up to most of them randomly in the street and just have a chat? No, you wouldn't. But I bet if you did stop someone and said, excuse me, I'm trying to find New Street Station, most of them go, yeah, just down there, you're not far, just round the corner and up the street. Very similar to your experience.
And it's not Birmingham's not perfect. No. We're not trying to say it's perfect. It obviously still has its issues. But look, I think I say it every episode, but there's people who want to portray this city as no-go zones and divided. Like, people who have never been to Birmingham, I guarantee it, because you come here, it's not like that. Everyone's like mixed, don't we, really?
Yeah.
Everyone's happy to talk to everyone, really. Like, maybe not a general conversation, but as you say, like, if you ask for help,
yes,
like, I genuinely think everyone will help. Going back to New York, if you go to New York for Thanksgiving, have you been there for Thanksgiving?
No.
In New York, Thanksgiving is massive, bigger than Christmas, because obviously Christmas is celebrated by everyone, obviously, but it still has Christian connotations and religion, whereas Thanksgiving is just seen as a celebration of all the cultures of New York.
Yeah.
So it's massive out there, like, it's completely like huge.
Yeah.
And I feel like just Birmingham has that little bit about it. Like,
I
mean, I'd like it to get even more like that.
Yeah.
I think we're a little bit further ahead of some places in the UK,
Yeah, definitely. I think, Birmingham is culturally growing, and, the food scene. I'll bring it back to this hotel. It's really easy. The guys that did this project could have taken that 50 million quid and done another one in London. That would have been really easy for them. They wouldn't have got much for the money for 50 million quid in London. But, they could have gone anywhere to restore an old building and turn it into a hotel. But they chose Birmingham. Why? Because it's on the rise, right? It's things are moving. Again, look at all those cool restaurants that we keep mentioning and talking about. They're here. I only had to do the research that I did when I started to look at what's happening in the city and look at all those cool places on the outskirts of Birmingham, Sturchley and stuff like that.
Sturchley's the one.
Yeah, when all those little things pop up, I read, I forget the name of it now, you guys will probably know, some bar, was in the Times or the Telegraph, cocktail bar.
40 St. Paul's, yeah.
Something like
gin,
that.
Best gin bar.
Yeah, there's the best gin bar, but there was another one.
Couch was probably in
Couch, that was it.
I was there Saturday, man.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. And I'm like, wow.
Lit through the menu, we got through 12 cocktails.
Yeah, and was it good?
Yeah,
exactly.
It's my favourite bar in Birmingham.
Right,
It's
so
fantastic.
Check it out. But,
yeah, definitely.
2-3 years ago, I don't think you would have thought that those places would. But now we're getting to the point where it's the norm.
Yeah.
It's the norm, yeah. And that's great.
It's like the neighbourhoods of Birmingham have sort of just decided they're going to make something in the neighbourhoods, and they're really trying and putting effort in. That's why these little areas like Sturchley pop up, and Moseley used to be done pages ago, and now there's Michelin star restaurant in Moseley, and it's great to see like Harborne. It's just wherever you go in Birmingham, there seems to be a little neighbourhood, and they're doing something.
Yeah, definitely. That was a bit Deansgate and a few other places in Manchester. That sort of happened up there, but definitely in Birmingham now, that's becoming the norm, and hopefully it continues, right? And in 2, 3, 4 years, there'll be 3 or 4 of those places in each one of those neighbourhoods, and all of a sudden it'll be really cool to pop over to, Sturchley or Harborne, and you're sport for choice. You're there for like 2-3 nights a week. Maybe not for you guys. That's a lot of lot of eating out and drinking.
A lot of eating, isn't it? Are you tempted to do any TV work?
I don't know really. I got offered to do Great British Menu a few years ago at the height of my culinary powers. I was doing some really good food, and it was a really good place. And just at the time they asked me, I got made redundant. So I didn't have a kitchen, I didn't know I was going to be working for the company much longer. I got through the screening. I'd done all the demo work, and I think it was like in August I was due to start filming the episode. And then I think sort of July I got made redundant, and they were prepared to move the filming back to October. At the time I was like, but I honestly don't know where I'm going to be. I don't know if I'm going to have a job or whatever. And it was a real difficult decision, but I sort of said, I'm really, really sorry, I can't do it. So, I think you only say no to those guys once, don't you? And that's your chance gone. But that's the last time sort of anything like that's popped up. So,
But if it come round, maybe.
Maybe.
You never know,
Yeah, it's different.
Would you want to do it again if they asked?
I don't know. I don't want to say no, but I think you have to be cooking a certain style of food. Isaac's food does not translate well to Great British Menu, and if I do something, I want to know that I can kill it. I'm not going to turn up to make the numbers up, and I don't want to turn up so you can edit me to be the bad guy. I want to go there knowing that I've got a chance, or and I believe that I've got a chance. So we probably don't do the right style of food for that program, but. You never know. Maybe Ready Steady Cook or something like that. Could turn up and do that one quite good.
Chefs love Ready Steady Cook. The Jews love
I love
Ready
Steady
Cook.
Cook.
Chefs love Ready Steady Cook.
Some of
I
the
think
shit
there's
that
something
come out
good
of
about
them
it.
bags. You'd be like, what the fuck are you going to cook
what was the
there?
other one? Bring Iron Chef. Do you remember Iron Chef? Bring back Iron Chef. Hey,
Have you eaten in many places in Birmingham since you've been back?
No, is the real answer to that. So, my last role, I was predominantly based down in London. So I was really fortunate to eat out, which is really easy in London.
Yeah.
I mean, you only have to walk around a corner and there's a cool restaurant. The amount of times I walked past. The last one I walked past, I worked in Fitzrovia. And one day I was just, on a phone call, minding my own business, and I walked past Bubble Dogs. I was like, oh, fucking hell, that's where Bubble Dogs is. So it's really easy to go and do that. And since I've been back up here, obviously coronavirus decided to kill everybody's dreams and aspirations. And now since the city's open and I've been stuck here, but I see what you guys post, I see what everybody else posts, and I'm like, I need to try that one, and I need to try that one. So I could take a week off and probably not even get around a quarter of them.
Oh, mate, my list only gets longer of places to eat. I tick 2 off and then there's 4 more on it.
I salute everyone who's decided to still open, after everything that's happened over the last 18 months. I salute them. It's unbelievable. Did you mention this was delayed a few times? Is there ever a point where you thought, shit, this just might not happen? How closely did you work with the owners? Was there any point they were I suppose they couldn't if they've invested 50 mil. They've got
it was always going to go ahead. I guess with these things and these projects, it's just when. So, the last one I did was an opening in London, and that was 2 years delayed. So we got to the point where we thought we were about a year away from opening. So we employed the exec team, so the GM, sales director, exec chef, etc. And then it got a little bit closer, sort of 6 months away from the opening. So they started to employ teams to start working on menus and SOPs and all that kind of stuff. And then it transpired actually that it wasn't 6 months away. It was probably still another 18 months away. But we'd already invested in the people. So the company, were like, well, we can't just get rid of these people, because actually, if you think they're the right people, then they probably are the right people. So we kept those guys on for nearly a year, until the hotel finally opened.
What were they doing in that time?
So, some of it's development work, new menus, costings, and, really boring and laborious stuff. Some of them got out shipped to other hotels, over Christmas when we're short-staffed. The chefs were up in Manchester. We had other hotels that were opening. So we did an opening up in Edinburgh, Charlotte Square. So me and the exec chef from the London project, whose project was delayed, me and his team, we opened up the hotel up in Edinburgh, so that was quite cool. So he got to see another opening. So there's still opportunities. So I was never concerned that it wasn't going to. It's just more of a question of when. And I came on board, I think I was due 1st of June last year for an opening around this time last year, and then obviously it got, we came on board for a couple of weeks and then it got delayed. So yeah, it was never if, more just when.
Were you aware before you kind of took this role on about the kind of like history of this hotel? Because everyone I talk to, and then when we post about it, there's so many people who are like, oh, my gran and granddad got married there, or I got married there 60 years ago.
No, I have to say, ashamedly, no. So when I was here, early 2000s, this was closed, and the Hyatt, I guess people saw as the place, the best hotel, and the Marriott Five Ways was just on the decline from being the best. And no one ever spoke about the Grand. It just wasn't a thing. And being a hotelier, or being really interested in hotels, for me, I wanted to work in better properties. So that's kind of why I ended up down in London and doing the stuff down there, because it just wasn't that type of hotel here. And then flip that back and coming back up here now, then you suddenly go, wow, what an amazing opportunity, right? That there isn't that type of hotel in Birmingham. And I think that's why there's been this great response to it, because it's bloody about time that we did and have that cool hotel bar, something a bit quirky. You can come and have a cool meeting here, that type of thing that Birmingham's never had. And
it looks like the kind of place you'd see on Instagram, and you'd read, I wonder where that is. You see it's in London and go, why don't we have one of them in Birmingham?
Yeah,
That's what
exactly.
It looks like,
how many times have we jumped on the train to go to London to go for afternoon tea in the Ritz, or afternoon? I mean, we're not the Ritz, but Scarf's Bar and Corrigan's Bar and all those cool bars and all those cool hotels and lobbies, and you go, we ain't got anything like that here. But guess what? Now we have.
Most people who haven't even stepped, is it in the America Bar in the Savoy?
Yeah.
Most people would have known about the America Bar or could picture it without even going there. And we've got nothing like that here. Whereas
definitely.
It feels like we kind of do now with Madeline's.
I think it's the start of that journey, right? And hopefully we've laid the foundations for that. And then in 5-10 years' time, if that's what it will be. The Madeline's Bar in the Grand is the place where your mate comes from Manchester or London, and that's the place you got to go and check out that bar.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's so beautiful inside.
Yeah.
And that's not a word I use to describe many bars.
No, definitely. But you have your first couple of drinks there and then go and find one up the town, right? Definitely. But we had, who did we have today? There's so many people that have been coming back. And it's so cool. So we had, an old pastry chef from the 70s. She had afternoon tea here today. And she was saying how where the pastry kitchen is today was just a satellite kitchen. We had an old apprentice head chef that did his training, that he came back. The last GM to shut the doors, he's been back. Some guy who was like a big bartender back in the 80s, a member of the guild, and he's got pictures of newspaper cuttings of him shaking a cocktail behind the bar. He's been back. So there's all those people and there's all those stories that are connected to this building, and they're going to start to come out and creep into the fabric of this place, and I just think that's really cool, and we're a part of that, just a small part of it.
The owners now, are they a group, or they're not part of the same group you worked for before?
No. So the owners now are a company called, it's still owned by the family. So
okay.
Yeah, Horton's family still own the bricks and mortar. And he was here not so long ago, actually. I think it's Peter. He stayed the night and had breakfast and dinner in Isaac's. And he's a big fan. He wasn't sure that we were going to pull it off, but I think he's genuinely surprised and loves what we've done to the building.
Sorry, Adam, did you see it before it was renovated, before the money was spent?
No. I've seen pictures.
Yeah. Was it bad? Because I don't remember. When did it close? Was it
2006, I think.
That long, it's just been run down.
Yeah.
I think it'd been on decline for a long time. But I think it finally shut the doors in 2006. There may have been a few exhibitions and stuff like that. I think they did a good job of preserving the ballroom. I don't know if they had to, because it was listed. So Hortons may have just kept that sealed and protected. but I know the rest of it was in a pretty bad way.
Boring's stunning.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So proper takes your breath away when you walk in there.
Yeah, I saw a picture of an event in there, a black tie event. The ladies looking smart, guys all dressed up, black tie, some like band playing. And I took it to our HR director and I said, you know what we've got to do for the staff at Christmas? I said, we need a black tie dinner. How cool will it be that the next time that ballroom really kicks off and has that type of event, is the staff here? And they all, red carpet laid out for him and all the treatment. I just think it'd be wicked. Really cool.
It'd be a nice touch that way.
Yeah, definitely. As long as I don't have to cook the dinner. As long as I'm not doing staff dinner that night.
Surely you just get one of the other group kitchens to come and cook.
Yeah, try.
What do you do outside of work when you're not here?
I quite like biking, road bikes. I mean, this job has knocked that on the head, and I'm about 10 kilo bigger than I'm supposed to be. But I quite like road biking. Just the silence, just being on my own, phone in the back pocket. A couple of the chef mates that I've got are into biking, and then just ride off. I'd like to say ride off into the sunset and not come back, but about 2 hours later I'm bored and turn around and come home. So that's kind of what I do. Yeah, that's what I sort of my downtime. That's pretty cool. It's a bit sadistic trying to climb up those big hills.
Yeah, it seems to be a certain breed of people like they really get into the cycling.
Yeah, it's a hard sport to get. It's a hard sport to get into. It's an expensive sport to get into. For me, definitely, and I think for the other guys that I know as well, it's the complete opposite from that that busy hustle and bustle of a kitchen and hospitality. Always on the go. There's always something to do. There's always someone that wants a piece of you. All of a sudden, for 2-3 hours, it's probably a bit like golf. All of a sudden, 2-3 hours, boom, that's it. Yeah. Just switch off, and it's you and a club and a golf ball, or you and a bike. I used to play golf, but
you've definitely never seen me play golf. If you think it's relaxing, there's nothing more infuriating for me than golf. I can't tell you how many clubs I've ruined. It's disgraceful.
Golf's a hard game, man.
Yeah.
Takes some patience to learn how to play that.
So infuriating.
A good walk.
Don't half, man.
The angrier you get, the less composed you get, the less you hit things. Oh, it's horrible. Yeah. It's horrible.
Well, if you can hold your composure, it's a great game.
Yeah.
You're having a good day, you're like, yeah, this is going well.
Maybe that's why chefs are good at it. Used to the stress and the ticket machine touching the floor.
Most of them probably don't even care about the golf. I reckon it's just quiet mates, beers, 4 hours of doing what I want without someone pestering me. Job done. And the golf is just an excuse. Shoot 6 under par, I can shoot 60 under par, but they'll still be back next week.
I read somewhere, and I'm a massive MMA fan, so I just read that you're into cage fighting. Is that right?
Yes. So I haven't done it for a long time, but I used to have a few fights and stuff back.
Oh, did you? Oh, you actually fought?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
that. MMA and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Down London way or up here?
No, up here.
Where did you train out of? In
I used to
Everton?
I used to train in Warwick, and then I used to train a bit in the old Braulio Estima, Gracie Barra gym and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's like 10 fights in total. Over
How did you do?
Won a few, lost a few. I don't know.
Do you still watch it? Or?
Yeah, I do. I watch the big fights. To be fair, I've always been competitive. And, I used to be quite angry when I first got into the head chef role. I was that typical angry head chef, and trying to prove too much to myself, I guess. And the MMA stuff and the cage fighting stuff actually came out of just needing a release, and that felt like the obvious release, believe it or not. But going into that world, it's not like that. You don't sort of turn up and go, right, I'm going to punch someone to and take all my anger out. It's almost the complete opposite. It's like, right, chill out. Now we're going to go all through training, and we're going to do practicing and moves. And at the end of it, you do all the sparring, but you're so chilled and relaxed and tired. The last thing on your mind is, I'm going to tear the guy's face off who's next to me. It's much more friendship and camaraderie, and there's always someone bigger and stronger. So you can go in there as the most angry teenager or kid or guy who's got a chip on his shoulder, and actually some humble doctor or someone just smashes your face in, and you walk out and you go, all right, okay.
It's an instant repercussion, though, isn't it? Because if you're a twat and you decide to like go over the top in sparring, you instantly get it back. There's no delay. It's instant. Yeah. I think that's part of the problem we have with society, like with Twitter and stuff. Yeah. You can say what you want, and there's no comeback ever. If someone was in front of you, there's no way you'd be that nasty to them because they just punch you in the face. Yeah, exactly. And it'd be instant. But there's something about martial arts anyway. I think that just they bring you straight down to earth, and they straight away you realise, I'm not that tough.
Well, I went through a bit of transition after that, and suddenly, I wasn't that angry guy, and suddenly realised there was a bit more to life than just the food and what's on the plate, and that green oil's not green enough, and that beef's not beef enough. I just suddenly realised there was more to life than cooking, and I went off in a different direction, and that was down to martial arts. But being me, I was still competitive, and that took me. I wanted to, like chefing, I wanted to see how far I could get, competitions and Michelin stars and stuff like that. And then in MMA, it's the same. I wanted to see where I could go and push myself. And the same with road cycling. I've raced and done competitions on my bike. So that's me. How far can I go and how far can I push myself?
So Tour de France next.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I'd be there this week, but I've got other priorities.
We've got Tour de Yorkshire now, haven't we?
I had Tour de Yorkshire. That was it.
When's the Tour of Birmingham? That's what we need.
That's it, man. We've got an MMA future world champion in our hands now, haven't we?
I think so.
Who?
Leon Edwards.
Yeah, do you think so?
Yeah, he's looking good.
I don't know. Usman's good, though. I can't see anyone beating Usman.
He's a machine.
Usman's just ridiculous. That fight against Kobe.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
He's a machine, and he gets better and better. But
he is like that. I can't remember what game it was now. Wasn't there some fighting game where they would absorb the other fighters' like skills and then just get harder and harder every fight?
Yeah,
I can't remember what game that was. Or it might have been a film or something. And they just that's what Usman is, isn't he? Like he absorbs.
You're on about Metal Gear Solid. Do you remember Metal Gear Solid?
Maybe it was that. Yeah.
The only way you could beat him was to put your controller in number 2.
Player 2. Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, I remember that. Stressed for ages. I was like, I'm gonna do this.
That was before you could just YouTube it as well.
Yeah. Now I just go on the internet. How do I do this? Oh, I'll just go do this.
Have you ever wanted your own restaurant?
Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah.
I'll be surprised if most chefs don't go through that dream or aspiration at one time. And never say never. I looked at a few places, but I've managed to carve a successful career out of doing what I'm doing, and I'm quite happy to carry on doing what I'm doing. I know like a couple of friends, Paul Foster's, and he's what he's gone through to get to where he's got to. Now, no thanks.
Nah, but he's paying off. You can't get a table. I looked the other day trying to get a table. You can't get a table there.
No.
Well, there's just no availability at all.
Done.
Yeah. Paul Foster, full time looking at CCTV and TripAdvisor.
yeah, definitely. But then look at those guys in the last couple of weeks. Anyone that's owned anyone, I sat at home. Someone was paying me for some money to sit at home. I've got to say I was one of the lucky ones to come back and have a job. But people who own their own business.
Yeah, we didn't realise with furlough sounds cushy and stuff, but the restaurant owner still has to pay national insurance and the tax and everything.
So pensions and everything.
Nightmare, absolute nightmare.
Yeah, just imagine those guys looking at everything coming in, or everything going out and nothing coming in, and no sign of the end. No thanks.
So what happens here when you've got Isaac's up to scratch and it's running how you want it to run, and you've got your brunch on and the kitchen's running itself? What happens then for you?
So we've got to then go back to Madeline's, and we've got to change all of that. So both venues for me are in their earliest stages. So over the next 3 months is all about looking at what's working and what's not working, and having the menus and the new dishes to change so they can be better. They're not perfect now. Goes back to the original question. It's that question, right? What would you change? And do you want to keep on tweaking stuff? Meetings and events and banqueting and the ballroom. We haven't even started that, you know. Hopefully at some stage there's going to be events of 400 and 450 people in that.
Well, I walked in, I was like, this for a wedding here would be unreal.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy.
Yeah. We've got to go back and do, you know, I want to be the best afternoon tea in Birmingham. So we've got one up and running at the moment, but that's the first one that we've done. So that's not the best that we can do by far. So we've got to constantly tweak that and improve on that. So there's loads to do. We're not even started yet. Definitely not even started yet.
I've got to ask because I'm mad for it. What's on the brunch menu?
Don't know yet. I haven't got that far.
I love brunch, man.
Yes, so we opened this week. Well, this is a bit of insight into the development of the concepts, right? So we opened this week. When we opened and you guys came, we just done dinner. So all of our trial services were dinner, knowing that that's usually the most critical one and the one that you need to get right. And then we wrote the lunch menu, and then we went live and opened up and did a sort of week of semi-opened lunch. But we didn't do a weekend service of lunch. So then this Saturday was the first Saturday that we were open, but we still had hotel breakfast. So we had an hour to turn the restaurant around and then open up for lunch, which is just not enough time. So we've suddenly gone, do you know what? Actually, lunch is probably not the right concept. We need to do brunch. So breakfast just rolls into this natural brunch-style service and feels a little bit more like what Isaac should be, which is that external restaurant. So then we'll have to get back now and develop that.
Okay.
And then we only open 5 days a week. So we close after Sunday breakfast. But in September, there'll be an expectation from the owners that the hotel switches to 7 days. So then the restaurant will probably be 7 days. So I need to find and operate that another 2 days a week.
What you're going to do there, you're going to have to get more staff in, like, because you don't want to put the chefs up to 7 days.
No, yeah. So more staff. How many will be the golden ticket?
Have you struggled to get staff? Because I mean, there isn't a restaurant out there, I think, that's not hiring at the minute. It's crazy at the minute. Did you struggle? Or?
Yes, massively. Massively. I being selfish, you know, I hope. If I go back to when we originally started recruiting, no one knew of the Grand, no one knew of Isaac's, no one knew of Madeline's, and I think it was a gamble to leave your current role for something that on paper may have been great, may have looked okay, you know. But if the reception had been really bad the last couple of weeks and it was a shit restaurant in a wannabe hotel, people wouldn't come. But hopefully we've established that it's a decent product, it's a great venue. People have been well receptive to it, and it's on the way up. I'd like to think in a couple of weeks, couple of months as we get towards September, people will suddenly go, you know, it's the Grand. It's a great opportunity for me. It isn't a Gusto, and no disrespect to them, but you know, it's not a Gusto or Fazenda or wherever. It's clearly not Michelin star, but it's clearly not here either. Suddenly there's that middle ground, you know, like Opus and people like that sort of traditionally were always in the middle.
The secret on the menu, as many people ordered it, or
no, but you can feel it. You can feel it. So the first week there was like one or two, right? The night you came there was one or two, and the second week or the second day, you know, it's 2 or 3. You can feel we're doing. Yeah, we're doing more. There's a couple of times we're like, shit, we need to get a few more waffles on because you just suddenly don't expect that rush. So it's building. We've done some photography, which is key. So on the socials, we'll push it on the socials, which we've not done. And it's just building that. You have to ask for the secret dish that we can't talk about.
That we can't.
What was today's?
It's the same dish.
All right.
It's the same dish.
How often is it going to change, or is it always going to be the
We'll
same?
probably change it each menu changeover, so probably 3 times. But let's see. If it proves popular, you know. Joe Allen's in New York. Joe Allen's in London was famous for this. It's closed down now, but you know there was no burger on the menu, but you could get a burger in Joe Allen's because they didn't want to do it like most chefs. I don't want a burger on my menu, but it started off people going, "Can we get a burger?" And more people asked for it. They were like, "Well, we need to put one on." It's like, "Well, let's just not put it on. If they ask for it, they can get it." And now, or you could have, go to Joe Allen's and it is incredible burger. So
it's a nice touch, isn't it? It's like, it makes you feel a bit special. Like.
Yeah, if you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't need to know.
So we haven't given it a name yet. We keep saying Carl's questions.
Yeah, Carl questions everything. That's what I'm for. Like Joe Rogan questions everything. Carl questions everything.
I do question everything, to be fair. Just say the first thing that comes into your head. They're really simple. They're about you and stuff you like and stuff you do. What's the best place you've eaten at?
Fretsson in Sweden. Fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went with a group of chefs. Akhtar, Leo from Simpsons, Paul from Soul. So there's a right little Brummie convention going on.
Yeah, that's the right number, that is.
I'll tell you a funny story about there. So just and this for me shows you why it's like top 17 in the world. As a chef and a guy who like helps and builds concepts, you know, you walk into that restaurant through a little gold door and it feels like you're walking into a shop. It doesn't feel like you're walking into a restaurant, and the lights are low and the charcuterie hanging in the corner and someone greets you, and you go into this lift, and this lift takes you up 3 floors to the top of the townhouse, and as the lift's going up, it changes colour or it changes light from dark where you were on the ground floor to match the lighting to where you were arriving. And the music changes, so the music changes from the entrance music to the music into where you're arriving. So it goes through this transition. You don't even know it's happening unless you're a geek like me, and you can hear it, and you opens, the lift doors open, and you suddenly go, instead of going, oh, it's too bright, it's the natural light, and you go, fucking hell, that's cool. That's the level of detail that someone's gone in to go, the lift needs to change light, and this is how it needs to change light.
That's crazy.
It was wicked. And then we were, you go, you know, the really expensive toilets, like £2,000 that could massage you and do all kinds of stuff. So we've all worked out. We're all sat down eating, and we've gone. The first one's come back and gone, have you been to the toilet? No, he's like, oh, it's got one of them ones. You know, it washes your backside and does that for you. So I've gone, used all the equipment and tested it all out and sat back down. And Paul Foster's looked at me and he's gone, did you try the massage setting? And I went, what? He's going, it massages your bum hole. And I went, you're joking. He went, no. Just got straight back up and went back to the toilet to have a massage.
Unreal.
Absolutely class. Yeah, Fretsson, hands down. The food experience, the whole lot, wicked. Incredible.
Cool. What's your favourite movie?
Loads. Thomas Crown Affair, the original. The Pierce Brosnan. The original's really good. Memphis Belle. Memphis Belle
Rings a bell.
It's about a World War II bomber.
Yeah, that's it.
So that one, they come them.
Yeah. No one said either of them so far.
Yeah. Bit eclectic.
Cool. What's your favourite band or DJ or whatever?
Oh, do you know what? I have got a soft spot for, and I'm a big fan of Jamiroquai.
Yeah.
Big fan of Jamiroquai. I've seen him a couple of times. Love Ludacris.
Yeah.
I like got some good stuff. Yeah.
What's your favourite cookbook?
Ramsay, A Passion for Flavour, the original. I know he's done loads and stuff, but the original one that set me off on my culinary journey to Michelin star was that. I was probably at the Belfry back then, and the French restaurant was the pinnacle. And I worked in that restaurant, and it was 2/3 rosettes, and suddenly I saw that and saw Gordon Ramsay, and I was like, who is this guy? What does he do? Someone showed me a picture, and that was it. Then I was like, I have to go and get to that level, and I tried. Yeah.
Nice. What's your favourite spirit?
Gin. A bit boring. I think in today's times to say gin now is
so many.
It's a bit crap, really.
Yeah, you're very with it. Down with the kids.
I'm actually a big fan and a bigger fan of English sparkling wine.
Nice.
Gusbourne do some wicked stuff. Night Timber, a bit crass now, but all bit. Everyone's done Night Timber.
We're not lucky enough to be sponsored by Gusbourne.
Maybe we need to work on that. But yeah, definitely.
Nice. What's your favourite big fast food chain?
KFC.
Yes. Finally, someone said KFC. My one.
KFC, 100%. I would go to KFC every time.
What's your favourite takeaway?
Chinese. I do like Thai. I went to a Thai restaurant a couple of days ago. It was rubbish.
Yeah.
I won't name names. It was rubbish, but we got a good Chinese near me.
What's your favourite dish that you cook at home?
Get Chinese takeaway. Don't really cook at home. No, Russell look like beans on toast. I'm here at the moment.
Other than Luke, though, I don't think we've ever had a chef answer that like, oh yeah, this is what I cook. You know, Luke Tippin. So he goes home like every break and cooks like a nice big dinner for his family, and then comes back to work.
That's good.
Legend.
I don't have the luxury of that, I'm afraid.
What's your best food destination in the world?
I went with the wife a few years ago to San Sebastian.
Oh, that's right at the top of my list. That is.
Yeah, we stayed. We did what every person should do. So we flew into Bilbao. We did the Guggenheim and pretended we were sophisticated, and did the Van Gogh and stuff like that, which was incredible. And actually, the food scene in Bilbao is pretty similar, and there's some great experiences. And you can get a very early sort of taster for what San Sebastian is. It's like another level. It's like first division football and Premiership, right? So we went round the square there and sort of got into that zone and into that way of eating and little bits and pinchos and all that stuff. And then the second night we got the coach over. Unfortunately, it was a big football game, so we got stuck with the bloody away traffic, away crowd coming in. Anyway, the second night we got into San Sebastian, and then it's like another level. It's like every corner, every street, every building, there's one of these cool bars and stuff. But again, we'd already experienced it, so we were a bit like, we know what we're doing, we're cool, we got this. So yeah, just ate our way around some of those places. And I need to go back. Yeah, well, I think we were there for 2 days. You need to be sort of 2, 3, 4 days.
Yeah, I told them this. I want to have 4 nights there.
Yeah.
Steak for lunch and dinner every day.
If you're a foodie, you tick it off. I mean, there's New York and all those places, but I think you kind of know what you're going to get when you go there, and you can easily pick your way through. I think for me, for San Sebastian, we didn't know what we was going to expect, and when we got there, it was completely different, but it was still so cool. Yeah. It was still so cool.
Yeah, it's right at the top of my to-go list. That is
the best one. We had KFC. We had this thing called quail KFC, so it was little quail legs and breasts done like KFC. So I'm sat in this little bar outside, drinking a little beer, eating quail, fried chicken, or fried
quail.
Kentucky Fried Kale. and there's a little bit of moment, I'm like, this is incredible. But it's just, this is incredible. Oh, cooked to perfection.
Yeah. Still delicate, like.
Yeah.
Put it on your menu. Yeah. Starter.
Yeah, you can come cook it.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah. Cool. Good.
Yeah, really appreciate you coming on.
No, it's a real honour. It's a real honour to be, back in this city as a proud Brummie. A bit further up near Wolverhampton, but proud Brummie, and to be on here and to be with you guys and be a part of the success. Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Cheers.